Hi, and welcome to the first episode of Learning with the Boglers. I'm Uri Bogler, COO of Project Pals.
I'm Miriam Boglers, CEO and founder of Project Pals. I'm also Yuri's mom and a former technology teacher.
That's very true. Learning with the Boglers is a video series in which Miriam and I will share how we use the Project Pals visual learning platform, which Miriam created, to investigate a topic, organize information, and collaborate on projects and problem solving. We're kicking off the series with a brief overview of our comparison of shapes project that Miriam created on the fly while training students at Haralson County Middle School in Tallapoosa, Georgia.
That's right. I was training a Miss Garrett's sixth grade math class, and it came to our attention that most of the students had already gone through our introductory party planning project. Instead of having them repeat the training, I asked Miss Garrett what she was teaching. She said shapes, and I immediately saw how we can use Project Pals to investigate and visualize shapes. That's how it started.
Nice, an inspired project. So what is the Shapes project all about?
Students work in teams to explore shapes by documenting their basic properties, identifying their similarities and differences, and learning to classify the shapes accordingly. The final goal of the team is to create a comparison of shapes to reflect differences in their properties, such as sides, angles, etc. Students will create several visual representations throughout the project, reflecting and deepening their understanding of shapes.
Cool. So we chose to showcase this project because it depicts the power of Project Pals to classify and organize information. While this particular project is about comparing shapes, this project template and approach to investigation can be used across all subjects. We're going to show you a model shapes project that Miriam created. If you are interested in doing this project with your students, please visit our website, project.pals.com. You can download the comparison of shapes lesson plan with step-by-step instructions for free. And feel free to reuse the project verbatim or adapt it for your needs. So enough intro, let's get to the project. I'm going to switch over now to the application, app.projectpals.com. We're currently logged in as Miriam in this cloud-based application. We're looking at her list of projects, including the Shapes project, which we've made publicly available with all users. Once we click on the Shapes project, it's going to take us to its corresponding project dashboard. Project dashboard is really where the project details of a project are located. You'll see the project name over here, a project image, the description of the project. On the right are the team members, in this case just Miriam and I, and we were both teachers. Typically projects have a mix of both teachers and students within the project. Over here, our little handy dandy pie chart shows that Miriam actually did the entirety of this project. 99.2% of the work that was logged in Project Pals was done by Miriam, so this is really her baby. And yes, teachers, if this is your first time seeing Project Pals, this is real. On a project with several students, you would be able to see exactly what student did what within the project domain, a really awesome administrative feature of managing projects within Project Pals. If this were a collaborative project, students would be encouraged to split up the work by each investigating a different shape. Team members can organize their roles by assigning themselves or others tasks using our task box tool. So you can see over here that there's a task that one student has to investigate quadrilaterals versus another student that will investigate the properties of the triangle. Going down to the bottom over here to our resources box, this is where Miriam added links to websites that she referenced in her investigation about shapes. So this is a website about quadrilaterals, so on and so forth. Teachers and students can add as many resources as they need within the project. Now that we've covered kind of the planning side of the project here in the dashboard, we're going to jump into the workspace, which you can get to by clicking on this monitor screen, which is really where Miriam created her knowledge about the shapes. So once you click on the monitor icon, it takes you into this collaborative workspace. A little primer on the workspace. The workspace is updated in real time. It's similar experience to working in Google Docs collaboratively. So multiple students can work on different devices around the world, all within this workspace together, and they could see each other adding and contributing content, and all of it would be happening in real time. No refreshes needed. So very cool, seamless, collaborative experience here in Project Pals. The workspace within a project is divided into tabs, which I'm scrolling over right now. The tab can be called whatever you want it to be. It's really meant to represent whatever you're going to display on that particular workspace, kind of like tabs in a spreadsheet. Miriam, you started off by posing questions on this questions tab. How did that help you kick off the project?
Yeah, asking questions is first step and default tab in the Project Pals problem-solving methodology. It helps guide students in their investigation. Often the question posed will be addressed as the student learns more about the topic. In this project, I asked questions about the properties of the shapes, like how many sides does the shape have, or what type of angles does the shape have.
Great, so the questions help guide you. The next step in the methodology of Project Pals is really defining and describing the components or parts of the project or problem. As we often say at Project Pals, pretty much the entire world can be described primarily through nouns, peoples, places, and things, and verbs, which describe action. Little fun fact for you, nouns and verbs are the only two parts of speech common to almost all languages globally. The components tool in Project Pals, which you see right here being displayed, really helps students describe nouns. So Miriam, in this project, you use the components tool to describe the shapes you were exploring.
That's right. Each shape is a component, like square and triangle. And each shape has several branches describing the shape's properties. I systematically describe the properties across all shapes when applicable. For example, the square has 4 sides, and the triangle has 3 sides. I'll open the component editor to show you how I tag properties across shapes. For example, sides is tagged sides, angles are tagged angles, etc. By classifying the shapes, I made it easier to compare the shapes later in the project while practicing a metacognitive skill.
Awesome. Who doesn't love practicing metacognitive skills? Really, you'll see that it is very cool what she does with it later in the project. So since components are used to describe nouns, in Project Pals we use events tool to describe verbs or processes or things that happen. This could be a historical event, or in this case, it's used in a different way. So Miriam, how did you use the events tool in this particular project?
I use the events tool to represent the formula or process of calculating the area and perimeter of a shape. So here we have the step-by-step process of how to calculate the area of a polygon and the perimeter of a polygon. Step 1, Step 2, Step 3. The other shape formulas are minimized below.
Got it. Okay, cool. So now that you've described the properties of the shapes using the component tool, and then the formulas for calculating area and perimeter using the event tool, you've done a lot of the work for this project, right?
Yes and no. By describing the components and events in this project, I created what we call a knowledge library about the topic. In this case, shapes. Every component, event, and all their items and steps are stored for my reference and reuse at any time during this project. I can just drag and drop on any Workspace tab, regardless what it's called. The assets can even be copied to a different project.
Got it. So really, I mean, the knowledge library is one of the most powerful aspects of Project Pals. I like to describe the knowledge library as a searchable database of your knowledge about a particular topic. It's really an extension of your brain and your understanding about a topic. And it literally is searchable, not only visually by opening up the knowledge library and looking for a particular piece of content, but up here in the search bar, you can actually search the entire project. So if I'm looking for everything that I wrote about sides in this project, I just type sides up here. It gives me results that match that query. If I'm looking particularly for information about sides of the square, I click on square and it shows me all of the items. And I can actually click on this arrow here and it'll drop that piece of information back into the workspace at any time. So really pretty cool stuff. You're building a database of your knowledge about a particular topic.
From this point forward, the Project Pals methodology and tools are really geared towards using the knowledge library to visualize information in different ways, which has been shown to increase comprehension about the topic. In Project Pals, we have a mind mapping tool to connect project assets like components and events and define how they are related. In this case, I dragged and dropped all of the shape components into this workspace and created a mind map illustrating the family and substance of shapes.
That's a really helpful visual. On this next tab over here, it looks like you created a table comparing and contrasting shapes.
Correct. The component shapes are the y-axis, and the tags that we used for the component properties are on the x-axis up top, like sides and angles.
Now And I see that you were able to reuse the properties of the component shapes you described previously, right? And the events as well. You repurposed information like the triangle has 3 sides that you defined previously, rather than creating unique content for this particular view.
That's the power of the knowledge library and writing in short sentences. You can find and reuse the exact piece of information you need.
Cool. So a few other call outs about this particular workspace. Miriam added a Google spreadsheet over here that I'm going to double click on. When you double click on any Google document, you can add any Google document as a project asset. And when you click on it, it opens up this little pop-up window, and I can actually edit this Google document from within Project Pals. I don't even have to leave the application. So this really helps centralize all the collaboration that's going on. And then also there's a YouTube video that Miriam added, which if you double click on, it'll open up a YouTube player and play the video right within Project Pals as well. So finally, if I go to scenes over here, can you tell us what you created on this particular workspace?
Yeah, sometimes in Project Pals, you want to group a collection of project assets together to create a lasting scene. In this case, I grouped project assets to create a profile of the trapezoid. Again, I repurposed many assets from previous workspaces. Notice that since the profile is grouped together, all of the assets move together as one object. On the right, I annotated an image of the pentagon with text boxes describing various properties of the shape.
Got it. So to recap this project, you started by asking questions. Then you described the component shapes and their characteristics. You documented the processes for calculating the area and the perimeter of each of the shapes. Finally, then you really started you created 4 different visualizations about shapes, displaying your understanding of the topic. 1, the shape family mind map over here, the subsets of how shapes are related to each other, the shape comparison table, which you created on this workspace, and then the shape profile and image annotations on the right. So I assume that after all this work, you know shapes better than you ever did before.
Absolutely. I'm consistently surprised with my ability to recall information after creating knowledge in Project Pals.
I completely agree. And on that point, thank you very much for watching this first episode of Learning with the Boglers. We hope this video was helpful. If you have a Project Pals account, you can find the Shapes model project in your project list. Feel free to use it as a reference. If you don't have an account, but want a free starter account or just want to learn more about Project Pals, go to projectpals.com. So you can schedule a demo with us, sign up for a webinar training. We'll get you set up in no time in creating projects. We really just want more educators right now to use the platform, so please reach out. Thank you, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more project videos coming soon.
Thank you.